50 of Super Smash Survivor is upon us. Me and all the other executives are going to be revealing everyone participating at our legendary 50th season. We're going to have this video premiering for those who are super locked in and invested, but we'll be posting all the videos bit by bit in the Cast Reveal channel, so stay tuned wherever you see fit. 31 legends are going to step foot into this game, and it will be a bloodbath. I'm not going to take up too much of your time right now. You'll see me later when I reveal my players. I'm just going to shut up and pass the mic to my good friend and the founder of this org, MBN John.
What is up, Super Smash Survivor? It is me, John, aka Reggie Fils-Aimé, joining us for the premiere here for Super Smash Survivor Season 50 Legends. This season has been years in the making, and I'm super excited to have what is going to inevitably be the biggest, both physically, the biggest cast, and honestly, personally, the hypest I've been for a season in quite a while, so I'm super excited about this. I'm definitely excited most for some of the people that we haven't seen in a while. My goats back in the beginning of the days when I was just a little wee lad. However, I think that the best way to start this cast reveal is starting from the top. This is the most recent castaway on the season from season 49. This player was a shining star in what was otherwise a fairly mediocre cast. I think the most important question with this person, with a cast full of so many legends, can they prove themselves to be the legend that they want to be, or are they going to fade away along with the rest? So with that being said, our first person in the season is Bo. Welcome to the cast, my friend. For my next reveal, we have someone hailing from seasons that are a little bit more familiar to me. This is the third generation. I think many would consider this player to be a wild card. They're definitely known for things outside of their gameplay more than their gameplay themselves, including things like cruise trips, parchments, confessional questions when they're a host, etc. Despite that, I think that they're a shining star in their seasons, and they're always a good player to have around, not to mention a legend amongst many in the community. I think their question is, can they finally turn their corner on the gameplay in this org and become a strategist that's known for decades? With that being said, from season 12, 15, and 35, I welcome Drew. For my next reveal, if you thought that the person who I just talked about, Drew, wasn't a good strategist, I think that this player makes him look like Kim Spradlin. But that's not to say that this player isn't a Super Smash Survivor legend. Far from it. They're definitely a true OG of the series and a representation of literally everything that OG Super Smash Survivor was. They came in not knowing a lick about how to play Survivor. They dominated all of the competitions in Smash that we'd never even think about doing nowadays. And they're the only player to have played 6 seasons consecutively. This player has definitely not had the best past couple of runs, but it's been a while. And then can this finally be the season that they turn things around and build upon their legacy? That's what I'm curious about. So welcoming from season 1, season 2, season 3, season 4, season 5, season 6, season 10, and season 25, I welcome the Green Mean Machine, Ouija, to this cast. For my fourth reveal, we have one of the most polarizing figures of the fourth era of this org between seasons 16 and 21. But I think a lot of people forget about the amazing strategic prowess that this player had in both of their seasons. Through both of those, they forged 2 of the most iconic alliances and basically headed them. They earned Best Strategist twice in their 2 seasons that have earned a spot in the Hall of Fame. It's been a while though. It's been a while since they've been a part of the community, so I'm really curious if in this season that they can bring the sauce back that they had in the last 2. This player was not around for season 41, but I'm curious to see if that they can take 50 home. So please welcome to the cast from season 16 and 21, Adam. My fifth reveal, this player also happens to be one of the most iconic players of that 4th era. In fact, they actually worked alongside very closely with Adam in their second go-around as part of the Meta Knights Alliance. They're very funny and likable personality in all of the seasons that they've played, enough for me personally to want to ally with them in the single season that I played, as well as season 39. Shout out Fortnite. There's many questions surrounding the player coming into this season, but I think there's one thing undoubted, that they'll probably place in a multiplication of 3. So I welcome from Season 18, Season 21, Season 35, and Season 39, the Big K himself, DK. And for my last reveal, currently, we have one of the most iconic newbies to come out of the second era of Super Smash Survivor. Personally, one of the people that I'm most excited to see in this season, no offense to everyone else. When they came into their first season, they were a pair with the eventual winner of said season, and they played a very close game together. In their latest season, they paired with someone throughout basically almost the entire game and cut them at the last hour, but just wasn't respected enough to win the game. They've matured a lot since then, to say lightly. They were very immature in their seasons. They made mistakes, had other comeuppances, and that really cost this person in their last game that they played here. But it's been 7 years since then. This person has certainly matured a lot. They've had a lot more life experiences, a lot more wisdom under the belt. So I'm really curious to see how their game will change today and if they truly have what it takes to now be the sole survivor of this org. So with that being said, I welcome from Season 7, Season 9, and Season 10, Ryder. Welcome to the cast.
This player started their SSS journey in 2021 and became a mainstay for the hosting team after their 2 seasons of playing here. They were my introduction to orgs and was my roommate during our undergraduates. Please welcome Raven. This player started their SSS journey in 2022, which would earn their spot on the 5th All-Stars game of SSS. However, they ultimately failed to convince the jury of their game, leading to a 3rd place despite a great game and making it that far. They were also one of my allies during that game, which was some very interesting early game moments. Please welcome Jonah. This player started their SSS journey in 2023 on a season that I had started hosting for SSS. They were primed to win the game by Final 5, but were unable to cinch victory over the hands of the big bad comp player that season. In a strong showing, they've come back to take another shot at the title of Sole Survivor. Please welcome Lukey. This player started their SSS journey in 2026 on one of our more recent seasons that was heavily inspired by one of my favorite video game series. They had a strong social strategic game and were 1 vote away from taking the title of Sole Survivor. Please welcome Leul. This player started their SSS journey in 2023, in the same season that I had debuted in. They had generational runs in the 30s, playing 4 separate times and each being a good run in their own right. Now they're back to prove that they are still indeed better than me after many seasons of trials and tribulations. Please welcome Defiant.
Hey guys, Theo, the TF here, the next reveal. This next pick is a very close friend of mine who first debuted in Season 34 and got very far in the game off of idols and challenges, but most of all, it was a pretty easy cast. He then came back again recently to show that yes, he can hold his own against high caliber players, despite the fact that, like usual, he finished 4th 2 times. He's the mom of my friend group, a very good guy. From Season 34, Joma is back. Got the next pick right here. We have not seen this face in a very, very long time. He played in Season 16 and Season 21. These are both before my time, but later down the line, he would eventually fall down the hosting pipeline and has a lovely org themed around colors. No particular bias or anything. We did see Banatali come back for the Codename season, but we have not seen the original in quite some time. From season 16, Orangely is back. This next player is a bit of a big man on campus here in Super Smash Survivor. He started off very well, dominating completely his first season. He then came back for our Codename season to dominate once again under a completely different identity, where he has Orgo to Roxor him at the final 6. He then comes back for Clash of Champions, where he turns out to be the Ponderosa Mayor, but this time around, he's back to do it again. Is this a no-winner cast? Nope. Nope is back. Up next, we have another winner of the Super Smash Survivor franchise from a season that I hosted around the time that I joined the hosting team. This person, in my opinion, played one of, if not the strongest game in the Smash Survivor new era of sorts, that 40 and beyond range. There were only 2 votes cast against this player throughout the entire season. They made it to the end and won by a jury vote of what I believe to be is 4-2-2. Split jury vote is still a win, nonetheless, as long as you get the votes. This time, she's here to prove that she can hold her own against the legends of this series. From season 46, Main Street, Ayla is back. For my last reveal, he played one of the most controversial winning games of Super Smash Survivor history, barely winning over the jury. I believe it was a 3-2-1 jury vote. Isn't that ridiculous? He was a bit of a goofball, and his antics earned him a spot back for season 45, where he had a legendary shot in the dark play that caused one of the craziest tribals in Super Smash Survivor history, with Evian going home. This time, he's back to prove you don't need a shot in the dark. Zoltan is back.
What's going on, Super Smash Survivor? It's Dallas here. Genyo Takeda. This one's going to look a little different than my other ones because I had to re-record this one because I said an incorrect statistic. This player resides from Season 17, Melee, where unfortunately a demerge took him out of the game, and he would return for Season 29, the very fast-paced season that was about 10 days long. Ultimately, he was taken out with 1 vote to his name and in a game that he thinks that he was going to win, but that performance would propel him to play our 35th season, where he would go on to be the sole survivor at the end of the game, and he would go on to play 2 more times after that, once in the alt season and once in Winners at War. So coming into this season, I'm sure he's hoping that there's no demerge from season 17, Rocker. Castaway first played in season 18, where she played a very under-the-radar game, but ultimately took home the crown at the end. But her win was very controversial, as a lot of people believe the 2 next to her played a lot better. And she came back for season 21 and proved that that was not the case, as she played one of the most flashy and entertaining games that we've seen in Super Smash Survivor, and ultimately would place 7th on that season. It'd be a while before we saw her again, but we saw her one more time in Super Smash Survivor 45, where she proved that she still got it nearly 3 years later. So I think more than 3 years actually, but she's coming back for 50 to see if she still got it even a year or so after her season just concluded. From season 18, 21, and 45, the winner of season 18, Asher. Our next castaway participated in our 20th season. It was his first org. He did pretty well on that season, and he would play a couple times after that with not as good games after his first time, but notably we would see him again on Super Smash Survivor 39, where he ended up winning the game and being the sole survivor. So coming into this game, after his appearance on Winners at War, he's looking for some redemption after his well-earned win from Season 20 and the winner of Season 39, Sled. If you've been around SSS for a while, you're probably aware of my next player. He's somebody who debuted in Season 24, ultimately that season was not very interesting, but had a lot of great game players. This guy being one of them. He would return for Blood vs. Ice, a very controversial season, but not a very controversial game. He proved that his win was not a fluke, and he still played very well. We would see him again on season 33, and ultimately we would see him again on Winners at War for his most recent appearance, where he took home second place. This guy is not much left to be said other than the 3 most dangerous letters in SSS. That's SLM. Next up, I have somebody who was an alternate for the season that he ended up playing. He had applied but ultimately got cut, but due to some controversial things on day 1, he was invited to play the game for real. And that was probably the best decision that was ever made, because he ended up winning that season. And we would see him return for season 33, where he played very well and ultimately would place 7th on that season. And we almost saw him on another time, but the 2 most famous words in SSS, I decline. So I'm really glad he didn't decline this season. The winner of season 30, Jack, with 2 Ks.
Next player is a 2-time player, changing things up, right? Originally coming from season 43, Arcade Arena, and then returning for season 45, the Wily Wars, or as we call it colloquially, the Willy Wars. This player is well known for having made a deep run both times, but the first time he took an idol to the face. The second time, however, made an incredibly deep run with a very, very strong partnership that I honestly can't think of many partnerships I've seen that were that tight. Y'all already know what I'm talking about. It's Robin. We got Robin on this season, y'all. Right. This is my other castaway, who is a one-time player that actually declined to come back for a previous season, but luckily we were able to convince them to get on to season 50, because I mean it's 50. This player is a returning winner. Hailing from season 43 Arcade Arena, we have 60. Alright, this first castaway comes to us from one of our most recent seasons, Fragments of Memory. I don't think anybody remembers that it was called that, so I'll say season 47, the Final Fantasy one. We gave this player a plethora of awards at the end, to the point that people were saying he was clean sweeping that stuff. Going by a brand new name this season, but I tried my best to draw the original one. We got Caleb. This next player is absolutely a Smash Survivor legend. He originally played season 16, then proceeded to come back for season 17, season 21, season 24 as a captain, and season 29 with whatever was going on. You know, we blasted in the past. We haven't seen them in 21 seasons, so returning for season 50, a fan favorite multiple times, we've got Deer. Yeah! This final castaway is somebody near and dear to my own heart. This person represents my original season, season 14, Special Orders, so we're talking way back during COVID times. They actually played very closely with Carolyn, then proceeded to come back for seasons 15, seasons 17, and season 21. They have been out of the ring for 29 seasons, about 6 years at this point, now that I think about it. We're gonna see if he can rope anybody else into his family. We've got Carl.
Coming from season 19, this player, mainly known for their partner coming back for All-Stars, they are here to prove themselves worthy. Might be a bit of a wild card, but let's join Shaft to the cast. From season 17 Melee, we've got quite the crazy character, someone who got very far, ended up taking it all. They came back a few more times and didn't do so hot. Let's see what they have to do this time. Welcome, Chris O to the cast. Debuting back in 2018 where it all began with Season 1 beginnings, we've got quite the player. I've duped them many times throughout the series. They started out for me as a coach back in Season 2. They're from Season 1. Let's welcome Cameron to the cast. From Season 9, Calamity Valley, we've got a player that I've also personally played with. They kinda were infamously known as one of the best first tribals in Super Smash Survivor's history. They came back once again for Season 31, made it all the way to the end, but came short to one purple birdie. Let's see if they've got what it takes to prove themselves this time. Welcome, Camille, to the cast. All the way from Season 1 beginnings, we have someone that has played Super Smash Survivor more than most, if not all, players could say. This is probably one of our most famous old players that we've got, still playing orgs. I'm personally very excited to see them. They've played Season 1, they've played with me many times, they've played some Blood vs. Waters along the way, they've played a lot. You know who it is. Let's welcome my side quest Season 1 winner, Digiman64, to the cast.
And my friends, that is a wrap. Thank you to everyone who said yes to being a part of this adventure of a lifetime, and my deepest condolences go out to those who were unfortunately cut from the cast. There will be many opportunities for you to... hang on. Yeah, John. We're not done. No, John, that's 31. We're doing 30... This is ridiculous. Okay. Alright. We're going to cut back to John real quick. I've received word that we may have a 30-second player joining the cast at this time.
Well. Look who we have here. We have the secret 30-second player of this season. A lot of you thought it was probably jokes, but here we are. I think that this player has to be someone who's iconic to this org. It has to be someone who has been around since the beginning. It has to be someone who's been responsible for many of the twists and mechanics that we've seen and how this org runs today, inspired from that beginning. And I think it has to be someone who has what it takes to win. That's not me. I'm not that person, despite what many people thought. I am not playing this season, I promise. But it's someone very close to this org, and someone I was very close to. And I don't think I would want to have a reveal like this for most people, but given the reason that this person with the org that they founded is essentially the reason why this org started and why we're all here where we are today, I think it's rather poetic that they're the last reveal of this season. They also happen to be the first winner of this series. They've fallen out of this org a long time ago, haven't really been around, but I think it's finally time for them to make a final stand and reclaim the legacy that they started almost a decade ago. So with that being said, from Season 1, Season 3, and Season 5, I welcome Jason to the cast. Welcome, my brother.